You know, Dave, sometimes you just make me sick.
What are you talking about? I'm just so radiant.
Listen, sick. Radiant. Oh, Sickening Radiance is such a great spell.
Yeah, what if we mix that with...
Let's do broken D&D combos using Sickening Radiance.
Hello and welcome to Nerdarchy. For nerds, by nerds, I'm Nerdarchy Dave. And as always, I'm hanging out with this nerd.
Nerdarchy Ted.
Maybe it's your first time visiting Ted's Basement. It's a place where we like to discuss news, views, and homebrews for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. And sometimes we even talk about other role-playing games.
So if you don't want to miss a single video, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button and attune to that notification bell.
Alright, so a while back, I forget exactly what we were doing, but we stumbled upon the Sickening Radiance spell and how brutal that could be. So we're like, hey, what can we combine this with? Can we make this worse?
We already know that there are so few effects in the game that create exhaustion. And Sickening Radiance is one of the spells, literally the only spell that can give exhaustion. And we know that 6 levels of exhaustion is just going to kill.
The only thing harder than getting exhaustion is getting rid of exhaustion. So yeah, it's a pretty brutal game effect. So with that, let's take a look at two things. First, we're going to look at Sickening Radiance and then actual exhaustion. So it's a 4th level spell, verbal somatic components, 1 action to cast, range is 120 feet with an area of 30 feet, radius, huge, duration 10 minutes, it's a con save, damage is radiant. Dim greenish light spreads within a 30-foot radius sphere centered on a point you choose within range. The light spreads around corners and it lasts until the spell ends. When a creature moves into the spell's area for the first time on a turn or starts its turn there, the creature must succeed on a Constitution saving throw or take 4d10 radiant damage. It suffers 1 level exhaustion and emits a dim greenish light in a 5-foot radius. This light makes it impossible for the creature to benefit from being invisible. The light and levels of exhaustion caused by this spell go away when the spell ends.
So it's not something that's going to wind up, stacking unless you kill them.
Yes. So now we look at exhaustion, right? So if you end up, staying in the radius of this and this effect, and you keep failing your saving throw, you're going to get levels of exhaustion. Level 1, disadvantage on ability checks. Not too bad, but it could be a problem. Level 2, half your speed. Level 3, disadvantage on attack rolls and saving throws. Level 4, hit point maximum halved. Level 5, speed reduced to 0. And 6 is death, as you've already stated. So it progressively gets worse and worse.
So we know this is a spell that creates an area, and we know that it causes levels of exhaustion, which can, reduce your max hit points, can lower your speed literally to 0, give you disadvantages on your saving throws. Literally, the longer that you stay in this area, the more prone you are going to be to its effects.
All right. So the concept of this video is kill someone in 30 seconds or less, but it's actually more like 36 seconds anyway. But that being said, so you have your sorcerer, they cast this spell and they heighten it to give them disadvantage on the saving throw. But that's not all. We're going to follow that up. We're going to work together as a party to really kill the frig out of something.
To maximize keeping people in this while your party's out of it.
Yes, and there's things that everybody can do. One, your martial characters can just kind of stay around the edge of it and just try and shove people back in. And now if they failed a couple times, or actually just once, they're going to have disadvantage against that shove check. And then there's things like Battle Master that have special abilities that actually let them move people, and monks do as well.
So Bard is going to have access to cutting words, which is going to be able to be really useful in either lowering saving throws or lowering checks, just to make sure that they stay in that spot.
But of all the things we came up with, these are actually the least potent that can be done. So it actually gets worse when you start incorporating other spellcasters into this.
So there are a number of spells that are going to layer on top of what's going on. Things that either reduce speed, create difficult terrain, or literally lock them in place.
So we have a list of spells that are super effective, but then we have like our go-to spells for the combination. So we'll kind of like run through some of the spells that would work perfectly fine and would be good combinations, but they're not the end-all to be-all that we're going after.
All right, so first off, we have Hold Person, classic. You're not moving if you're being held. And kind of in the same line, we've also got Ensnaring Strike.
Ensnaring Strike is going to be more useful if you're up close and personal. That's why on this list and not one of our go-to ones. Then we have Grease. Grease is a great spell, create difficult terrain. If they fail their save, they fall prone. Half your movement to get up, especially which is not good in a situation where movement is clutch. And then the other one is Gust of Wind. You can direct a powerful gust of wind to push things back where you want them to be.
We also have Maximilian's Earth and Grasp. I mean, that one's kind of self-evident. It's going to grab them and hold them in place. We also have Stinking Cloud.
Stinking Cloud's great because if they fail that saving throw, they spend the round retching. So that means they're not moving out of the range and they're going to be stuck there for another round of saving throws.
So they're already sick inside the Sickening Radiance?
Pretty much. But not only that, I believe it's also going to obscure vision, which means they cannot use sight-based spells to get out of there, like Misty Step. So Ever's Black, Tentacles, and Grasping Vine are another 2 great spells. The Grasping Vine is something that every round you can use it to try and grab and restrain someone. Tentacles is another thing that is going to restrain them, also doing more damage, which, again, you can kill them in less than 36 seconds if you do enough damage.
That's the great part about this spell because, even if they're passing their saving throw, damage is still happening, but hopefully they're failing that saving throw and accumulating these negatives. I mean, literally 5 fails, their speed is 0, so they're not moving. So you can just concentrate and let the magic do its work.
Yeah, but at 4 failed saves, half your maximum hit points. So you may die before you even get death from exhaustion just due to lack of hit points.
That is entirely true.
But folks, something that won't make you sick? That's the Kickstarter from Easy Roller Dice, our sponsor. Dice of Giants over on Kickstarter right now. Do you like dice? Do you like enormous dice? Well, you can get these enormous giant dice, 48 millimeter over there. Right now, they have 3 different versions unlocked with more on the way. They look amazing. They have the special giant font on them. They look incredible. They look great. They're bright. They're colorful.
They're already funded, so you know that you're going to get it. Easy Roller Dice has always been the dice of choice for Nerdarchy. They've been with us for a while, and we love them, and it's obvious why. So you want to jump down to the description below, check out that link to the Kickstarter, go make a pledge because you know that you want to add Dice of Giants to your collection.
Why roll dice when you can roll giant Easy Roller Dice? All right, now we're going to actually get into the combination that we're saying is the one you should use.
Here's the killer combo with Sickening Radiance.
Right, and this is also based off the party is 7th level. No one's higher than 7th level. Obviously, if you went even higher and things like Wall of Force could come into play and be quite brutal. So first off, if this happens and you happen to get the drop on your foes and it's an ambush, you cast a spell. They fail that first saving throw. Well, now their initiative check is going to be a disadvantage.
That's pretty harsh. Because it is a skill check.
It's not a skill check, it's an ability check.
Oh, sorry, it's an ability check. You're right. But it's going to be a disadvantage. That pushes them further back. And mind you, if you get the surprise round, all of your party gets to layer these effects, like your bard casting Plant Growth.
Plant Growth is absolutely brutal. No saving throw. It's a huge area. It's at a far range. And it has a very specific effect. It does not create difficult terrain. This is really important. What it does is for every foot of movement that you move, you have to give up 4 feet. So that is brutal. That would stack with things like difficult terrain, or if something affects your movement, these things are going to all compound, making it even harder to get out the radius of the Sickening Radiance.
All right, so we already talked about having Plant Growth in there and it's costing more. How much more effective could it be if your wizard drops slow on them? So now they're moving at half speed and it takes, 4 foot of movement to move a foot.
Not only that, if they fail that save against slow, they have a -2 to dexterity saving throws. They can't take reactions. They can only take a bonus action or an action. So this is going to restrict some of the things that they can do as well. If you're using effects that are going to knock them prone, disadvantage on saving throws plus a -2. Absolutely brutal. Now we can move into our next combat in our next combo, which is going to be the Ranger, and they're going to help out.
So the Ranger is actually going to cast Spike Growth, and this is going to create difficult terrain and be another damaging effect that's going to go along with your Sickening Radiance. All right, so now we have them slowed, the massive movement penalty because of Plant Growth, and the Spike Growth is going to have difficult terrain. So it's even more of a movement penalty moving forward.
Yeah, so you're looking at their movement being halved, which, is going to bring them down to 15 if they have a move of 30. And difficult terrain would make that 7 feet. And then plant growth, it's like, oh, look, you can go a foot. Generous DM, 2 feet. So it's going to take forever to get out of this radius of sickening radiance.
So it's 30 feet across. You can move 2 feet around. Again, if you have a generous DM, that's going to take you 15 rounds just to get out.
And it's worth mentioning, spike growth also does damage. So
our final piece of this puzzle is the druid casting Sleet Storm, which is going to knock them prone. It's going to cost half their movement to get up, and it's going to obscure sight. Now they can't even see to try and get out. Maybe, you can play up the whole disoriented angle, and everybody's got to just sit back, concentrate on their spells. It can't see out to really target. It can't see out to teleport. It's all kinds of messed up, and it's just going to start eating that damage and hopefully failing those saving throws against Radiance.
Now, it won't stop all forms of teleportation, but it will stop things like Misty Step at any rate, and some other things as well where you have to see. Now, granted, this will only work on land-based foes. If they can fly, they're going to have an easier time of getting out, but there's still the chance that they're not going to be able to get out fast enough that things like slow is still going to affect them. And also you would just want to change your tactics. Like things like Grasping Vine become way more useful, Entangle, things of that nature, Earthbound. So there's probably other ways that you can use this combo against a critter that is, flying.
Now, if you wind up getting them in there and you don't use an obscuring attack, then things like Ray of Frost, where it's just knocking off 10 feet off their movement speed, given all of the different halves and halves and halves, it's possible that if you keep a Ray of Frost going in on them, number one, it's doing extra damage, and number two, you're literally locking them into a 0 speed.
So the final caveat is, just from the sheer amount of damage that you're going to do from this spell, we kind of looked at D&D Beyond and kind of did some dirty math, and you're going to kill outright almost 1,300 different monsters just by locking them into place. Now, granted, things that can fly or burrow, they have a better escape of getting out of their earth glide, things of that nature. But all in all, for most of the things you're going to fight, this is an absolutely devastating combination. If you can get this off on the boss, the big bad, you're probably going to frustrate your DM to no end. But it was a fun little thing to play with. And it also is cool because the whole party has to kind of work together with this dynamic.
I would wholeheartedly agree. You've got, so many different avenues, and, it's all built on that one component and then just locking them in place. I mean, you could build this out and then have your party surrounded. It's like, I don't care which way you go, I'm getting you back in.
So with that, what do you think? Let us know. Would you use this combo? Have you done something similar? Have you done something worse? There's a place we can talk about down in the comments below. But before you head on out, I want to invite you to, one, go to the description and check out that Kickstarter link for Dice of Giants, but also to join the Nerdarchy Adventuring Party over on Patreon. Ted, what can they expect over there?
We're creating products every month for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons that both players and DMs alike can drop right into their game.
But that's not all. Every month we do a giveaway. Patrons are automatically entered into those giveaways.
We're also doing a weekly hangout and more.
So until next time,
stay nerdy.